Linking to an external website or another HTML page in your website is one of those must-know scripts for all Flash designers. So let's now review the code for adding this capability to your Flash projects. Unfortunately, the ActionScript 3.0 code to link to web pages is not as straightforward as it used to be. This capability now requires a multi-step procedure. If you open the navigate_to_url.fla file from the work files folder and access the script in frame 1 of the main timeline, you can see the same script that I have open here. First, the code instantiates a URL request object with the target URL provided here in a constructor. Notice that that is an absolute path to the VTC website. I could also write relative paths there. Next, you set up the event listener for a button that will link to the URL right here. And then lastly, you call the public function navigate to URL right there. Based on this mouse event right here, click button is the name of the function that I'm going to be calling. Notice that the click button is also here in the event listener. Now you're ready to test this 4-line script. Now you may get an error warning at this point. This is a security feature built into Flash that I'll review in more detail shortly. For now, you can avoid this error issue by setting the local playback in the Publish Settings Flash dialog to access network only. Let me show you where that is. Go to File, Publish Settings, go to the Flash tab here of the Publish Settings dialog. You'll notice most of the way down the dialog here is a local playback setting. Set that to access network only. Now you'll need to change this setting for every SWF file that will access remote resources like web pages, because the default setting right here will be access local files only. I'll be covering more on how to set this more permanently in the movie entitled Setting Flash Player Security. But for now, let's go ahead and close the dialog once we've made that setting, and now choose Control Test Movie. The Shockwave player loads the SWF file, and if I click on the button here, Link to VTC Website, my Firefox browser will open up, and inside of it is the VTC website, www.vtc.com, as I specified here in my parameter for my URL request. Now you can also control whether the new page should load in the same window or in a different one by providing a second parameter right here in the navigate to URL method right there. Notice that says _self. That will load the page in the same browser window as the Shockwave file. If I choose _blank, it'll now open it up in a new browser window. To test this, go File, Publish Preview Default HTML. This will load the Shockwave file in an HTML document, like so. And when I click on the button, notice that the VTC website is now loaded in a separate browser window. There is my original browser window with the SWF file. And I can change that again by setting the parameter here in the Navigate to URL method. Self will load it in the same browser. Blank will load it in a new browser. Parent specifies the parent of the current frame, and then top specifies the top level frame in the current window. So those are the 4 options. As I mentioned previously, you can also link to pages using relative paths up here in the parameter field for the URL request. Let's replace this with images /vtc.jpg. I have an images folder here in the work files folder, and inside there I've placed a VTC graphic. So let's go ahead and now load this relative link by choosing File, Publish Preview Default, and there is my file loaded here in the browser. This time if I click on the button, it'll open up the VTC logo, notice in a separate browser window. There's my original and there's my second one, because I still have my other parameter here in the Navigate to URL method set to blank. Now you can also customize the way that the browser appears when you're loading these SWF files and HTML files using this ActionScript. You would do this by employing JavaScript So let's now move on to the next movie, and let me demonstrate some scripts for using JavaScript and ActionScript to open a custom window in your browser.